Okay, it's 7:30 on Tuesday, October 11th, and I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the city of Twinsburg to order. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Labby?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Okay. Next, we will have the invocation and pledge led by Mr. Scott Bauer. Please rise.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next, we have the minutes from the council meeting of September 14th, 2021. I assume everybody had a chance to look at them. Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Mr. Fury, second. Is there a second? Mrs. Labby. Okay. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes. Words and presentations. We do have a presentation. Mrs. Bucci-Cross has a presentation.
Good evening, Council. At Finance Committee last month, we had gone over the financial health indicators from our 2020 audit that was released. And Finance Committee had asked if I could do a quick presentation at Council on the findings there. So this is a 5-year history of the indicators that the state of Ohio releases after they take a look at all the numbers on our audit. As you can see there, in 2016 through 2018, we had some cautionary items, and we had some, they refer to it as the red items. Sorry. There's cautionary and then critical are the red items. So then in 2019, we sort of evened out and we were able to stop the decline in some of our balances. And then in 2020, we actually brought things back around due to some of the relief money we received and were able to grow our balances. So previously, those yellow indicators, we had indicator number 1, number 2, and number 5, and they all related to those declining balances. So since we were able to make that turn, they've now turned to green for the 2020 year. So same on the critical outlook items. Those were numbers 3, 4, and 9. And again, it was due to expenses exceeding revenues during those years. And those items have turned green as well, or positive outlook. And then indicator number 7 is about income taxes. And this is the item that we have been talking about all throughout the year due to the impact of the global pandemic and just not knowing where our return to work at our local business community lies just yet. We are reaching out as much as we can with both the mayor and Larry Finch to keep in contact with those folks to see what their plans are. But we do expect probably that cautionary outlook to remain. And that's all I had to go over unless you guys had any questions on that report.
Does anybody have any comments or questions on the report? I know we all saw it last week, and I think it's a positive report for the most part. Mayor, do you want to say anything about it? Or?
No, I think it's definitely a positive report. I mean, I think we've changed. We've definitely upgraded some indicators that we've had in the past. You know, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, our CARES Act money and ARPA money that we've received, that we've been able to build up the general fund a little bit. We've also, with some of the cost reductions we took from at the end of 19 through 2020. So I think it definitely is a positive report, but it's a cautious report when you look at the income tax. I mean, part of my report, and I can just share it now, is that you know, we're still meeting with businesses. We're still trying to get a gauge on where they're at, staffing levels, and there's struggles both ways. There's struggles with current staffing levels in terms of finding people to work, and then there's also the stay-at-home issue that we're dealing with and that we're trying to get a handle on. So, and there's some significant employers in the city of Twinsburg that, you know, we're having discussions with that could create some concern for us. So it's kind of a wait and see, but Sarah's done a really good job. I mean, in council, again, with all that we're doing to manage our budget and our funds, but we're not in the clear yet.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on it.
And
Thank you.
the progress that we made in 2020 with our balances is going to be really important as we look to these future years and what might happen. So it's good that we were able to save some of that money.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. Okay, moving on, we have next is audience participation.
First we have Bob Thews.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Bob Thews, 2229 Demi Drive in the Meadowwood plan. Our Glen Eagles Wednesday morning senior golf league has 2 eating events each year. We used to use the pavilion for those events. And when we went for our mid-season event, we were told that by the golf course personnel that we had to go to the A&M Burntwood group. When we talk to the A&M people, they tell us that they have exclusive food service rights at the golf course. That's a lie. It's not in the lease, and they also, the fact that it's not in the lease, also the pavilion is not in the lease. And that's been confirmed tonight at the caucus meeting. So, in essence, what's happening is we're being shut out, okay, of eating there. Now, we've been there a long-term league, good league. We start in March, and we're still playing tomorrow, our Wednesday morning. Still going to be playing tomorrow, in favor of the Burntwood group, because the Burntwood group, even though they don't have the right, has basically been given the right to control the food at that place. We're not asking the city at any case to provide food. We provide our own service, okay, from that standpoint. So what it appears to me now is that there's being a choice made here, because we're going to give up you're going to give up $2,500 of our money, okay, that we pay, and for the league, guaranteed for the hope, and no question there's a chance that they'll fill those seats, but that's guaranteed, okay, from that standpoint, money versus there's a good chance they could fill it, but there's no guarantee. That's guaranteed money. So we're giving that up, and in the meantime, we're being courted by Grantwood, where we went, okay, from that standpoint. So not only would you lose those 2 events, I'm also concerned that we might end up losing out and going to Grantwood. It's a nice course as well, a little different layout, but also at the standpoint they're a little more friendly. So I see it as the pavilion should be a rentable place. It should be rent for a reasonable amount of money. It's not a big pavilion, but it could be rented and it could be used. Just the rent money would come in, plus the small golf groups, and that was confirmed also, that other groups have asked for that using that pavilion. So from that standpoint, I don't see how it muddies the water The only thing it does is what you don't have contractually anything requiring you to go to the Burntwood group for that food group. I say go and earn a few bucks, $25, $50 for the rental of the place, whatever you can get from that standpoint, and you don't lose the golf, okay? You don't lose the guaranteed golf, okay, from that standpoint. And you don't have to worry about filling it. So I think we're throwing away an opportunity. That's my opinion, and that would be backed up by most of the people in my league. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next, we have Sue Clark.
We'll do it after there. Okay.
Sue Clark, 9845 Crossword Drive. Good evening, Council, Mayor,
Good evening,
Mr.
sir.
Commissioners. I wanted to share some information with you guys and some articles on the three largest waste haulers, Waste Management, Republic, and Kimball. They're all seeing shortages and disruptions in their service. In one of the articles, it talks about Hudson, Ohio, and I highlighted that for you guys. I've spoken to their customer service, and they shared some challenges that they're facing. They're having issues finding drivers. More people are working from home and creating more waste. They're still working under COVID protocol, and the pandemic buying is creating more waste. We're continuing to see the effects from the pandemic, and they're saying that truck drivers are in higher demand, especially going into the holiday season with UPS, FedEx, Prime, all looking to hire more drivers and giving signing on bonuses. I'm not saying that I don't think that you guys should go out to bid, but I wanted to share some concerns with you. This is a company in a partnership with 20 plus years. From what I was able to see, their increases were between 3 and 7%. So if I may make a suggestion, maybe write a clause in the contract that says you have the right to revisit it after the pandemic, after the shortage, after the economy stabilizes. Also, maybe you guys, even though I know it's not apples to apples, Mr. Maestro said, but have Shannon go out and get some bids of some other surrounding communities just to see what they're facing. I mean, these are challenging times for all of us. I can honestly say I've not had a problem with waste management, but I do understand from my perspective and what I do for a living that these shortages, these demands aren't going to clear up. I mean, we're hearing driver shortages and product shortages clear in the third quarter of next year. This is something that's going to face all of us. And I'm saying we have a 20-year plus relationship, a loyalty. If you guys change, which is you can look through some of the articles, you'll see that people who have made those changes are now facing the same thing. They can't get them there. So if I call and say, hey, look, my trash hasn't picked up, but I've been with you 20 plus years, you're going to maybe service them before you service the new people. And everybody's seeing that. It's not just us. It's not just a shortage in Twinsburg. It's a shortage everywhere. Businesses are seeing it. The waste is definitely there. I understand that. I'm not saying that it's not to take it out to bid. I get what you guys are facing. I'm just saying I would do a little bit more research before I jumped into that bid to see where we're at. Because I really do think that in these challenging times, it's worth just stepping back because we have not seen this pandemic by far be over in any kind of business aspect. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Responses, Mayor. You wanted? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to respond to Mr. Thews. We had a nice cordial conversation during caucus, but I just want to kind of clear the record for the council meeting. The fact that exclusive rights of the Burntwood Group on food and beverage operations, we have turned that over. The city has gotten out of that business. It's something that I think we all supported. It's something that, during COVID, when the restaurant was shut down, we found an operator. It was a very good operator that's got multiple restaurants around the area that has done a good job, and we have them in there, and we did turn over all food and beverage operations to them. So we were out of the restaurant business, we're out of the banquet business. Technically, the leased square footage is not inclusive of the pavilion. The pavilion is part of that whole operation. And so we do not want to get into the business of leasing out that pavilion. Brian doesn't have the staff, doesn't want to coordinate coming in and out. And we don't want to interfere with our relationship with what seems to be a successful operator right now. And so, well, we appreciate the senior league. We do. I understand the 2 outings. We've changed our policy on outings. We don't do outings on, Fridays and Saturdays anymore because, again, we don't control the food and beverage operations, and it's much more profitable for us to run tea times straight during the day. And so we've chosen to do that. We've worked that out with the Burntwood Group, and we have an understanding. So we don't run outings on those days. We have 2 outings on a Friday, and one is a Mctarian and one is a Chamber. Those are the 2 that we've allowed this past year. When Mr. Thu says we're giving up $2,500, that is not the case. It is very difficult to get a tea time at Glen Eagles. So when you're talking about 40 times, you're talking about 10 groups. If that was opened up a day before, we'd probably fill up all 10 groups at full rates. So, again, we've accommodated the senior league, and we're happy to continue with our relationship with our senior league. And we understand the frustration with not being able to bring in your own caterer, but 1 or 2 events of going outside of our agreement and understanding with the Burntwood Group is not worth the risk to me. I've been given a strict directive by our residents to make as much money as possible at that golf course, and this is one way we're doing it. And so we've had an extremely successful year. We're in excess of $1 million, and it's been, I guess, probably our best year ever when you look at our golf operations. And so we want to continue that, and we want to continue to see the restaurant be successful. And so there's a lot of things that go into the comments that was shared by Mr. Thews, but that's a little bit more of the background from the city's perspective. So, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? I would just like to respond to Mrs. Clark real quick. Thank you for doing the research that you did. We appreciate that. Me, for one, I don't think at this point going out to bid has anything to do with the service. In my opinion, we did have a problem. I had some residents in Ward 1 that had a problem, and I brought them to the table. I think since then they've been somewhat corrected that I'm aware of. Sometimes there's issues that people don't call and tell us, so we don't know that. But it's not really a problem that I would like to go out to bid. I just think that we've extended this contract so many times and for so many years that we really don't know what's out there. And all the things that you said could be true, but at the same token, not knowing what the competition could do at this point, because they are, maybe running low or they are having into difficulty. These contracts, municipal contracts, are very, very lucrative for them. They want these contracts. They need these contracts. So I would just, my opinion, and I can't speak for everybody here. We had this meeting earlier in the Public Works meeting, but I would just like to see what's out there at this point, because we haven't done that for several years. And I think that, on behalf of myself and our residents, I would like to see if there's any type of savings that we could incur, or probably not going to be a savings. I doubt that anybody's going to bid lower. I doubt that Waste Management's going to bid lower. And even if we were to do an extension, there's going to be some type of an increase in there. But I think that we should shop the market. That was my opinion. So that's it. But thank you again for your input. All right. Having nothing else, next we'll move on to Council Communication Committee reports. Let's start with Mrs. Labby.
I attended the Safety Forces open house. Very well done. I actually had a flashback. I think my daughter was 5. She was getting her fingerprints. I don't think you do that anymore. But she was getting fingerprinted. She was on the front page of the bulletin. So she's 24 now and teaching. So, but it was great. It was great to see the mayor get attacked by the dog. Always enjoyable for everyone. But there was a lot of participation from families, which was wonderful to see. It was a beautiful night and very enjoyable. I attended the Jedi meeting yesterday, and I also attended a meeting with Rob Benjamin, who is the developer of the Whispering Woods development, discussing some homeowners issues with the mayor in attendance. And that's all.
That's it. Thank you. Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. Good evening. I also attended the Police and Fire Open House on Wednesday, October 6th. The weather was outstanding. We had an outstanding turnout, and I'd really like to thank everyone who made that an awesome event. I attended this evening Public Works Committee meeting. As Mr. Scafidi alluded to, we had a pretty in-depth conversation around waste management and whether or not we should go out for bid and those kind of things. At this point, we were kind of finalizing what that bid spec would look like. Mr. Maestros, I think, is going to make some changes to that, and then we want to bring that to the rest of council for a fuller conversation. Because I personally, I don't believe it's just up to the Public Works Committee to make that decision. The full Jedi Committee met last night on Monday, October 11th. We got to meet members of the Twinsburg High School Minority Student Union, which was awesome. We also had a discussion about the statement of work that is being developed and has been submitted to several potential consultants. The goal of that project is for a multi-day workshop around diversity and inclusion, as well as a long-term vision and strategic plan for the Jedi Committee moving forward. The next meeting of the full Jedi Committee will be on Monday, November 8th, 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. The Jedi Community Outreach Subcommittee does not currently have a meeting scheduled. That subcommittee will reconvene after the events, after we get to work with the consultant. There will be a special meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals tomorrow on Wednesday, October 13th, 6:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. On October 4th, I did attend the Jedi, the Employment Diversity Committee, and we have sent out some information because we're looking for a consultant to help us out. And Jessica Sumarek, she's the City of Twinsburg. She's on the council. Well, she's our advisor. I'll put it like that. You know, she sent out, I think it was 4 to 5 emails regarding the Jedi Committee Diversity Consultant. So we're waiting to hear back from them. On October 5th, I did attend the Environmental Commission for Mr. Fury. And the only question that the Environmental Commission had, they were talking about recyclables, what to recycle. There's cardboard number 1, cardboard number 2. And so I told them that we were going to have a meeting, and if they needed to more information, to contact Mr. Campbell, and he will work with them. Also at the Environmental Commission on Tuesday, one of the environmental commissioners, Crystal Davis, she received an award, and I just want to read just a little bit of the information that she had. And it stated that, she's vice president of the Alliance for the Great Lakes, and she was being recognized for her efforts in reorienting environmental in the Great Lakes region to focus on the needs of the people living there. And one thing about the Clean Water Act, I think Indiana is number 1 as far as being the worst, and Ohio is number 2. So we really need to clean up our act with the water. That's what we really need to do. Also on October 6th, I attended the open house for the police and fire, and it was a wonderful event. And I missed the mayor getting clogged by the dog. I missed that. October 7th, I attended the grand opening, and Mary Yates did too, and the ribbon cutting of Twinsburg Healthy, which is on Church Street. So I just invite everyone to go out and support them. October 8th, I attended the Mayor's Mom Celebration Life Services at Christ Community Chapel. And it was a wonderful event, and the mayor spoke about his mother, and it brought back memories because my mom passed away, and I can't say anymore. So I have to get off that subject. But Mayor, I congratulate you because you are a strong man. You're stronger than I am when it comes to death. I did attend the Jedi committee, full committee yesterday. And I just want to read a couple of things. And one is for the Minority Student Union that's going to be a part of our Jedi. And Maya Stewart and Dishna Nurika are students of Twinsburg High School and president and vice president of the newly formed Minority Student Union. They shared how the group got started last year, both in person and virtually due to COVID 2021 graduates. And it talks about their projects included an open forum with Twinsburg police officers to help residents of color get a better understanding of their perspective during the George Floyd protests, and showing a documentary on Voices of the Hill. And they're in their second year and looking for service projects. So if you have any service projects for them, contact them because they want to enhance the district and the community's diversity. That's all I have. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Under my committees, as we mentioned a couple of times, the Public Works Committee did meet this evening, and the only item agenda was the waste management contract, and I think we've said enough about that. The next Finance Committee meeting will be on October 26th at 5:30 right here in the council chambers. And the other thing is the safety, police and fire open house. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend, and this is probably the first time in several years that I haven't been there, but I had a work conflict. So, but I'm glad that it went well, and I heard a lot of good things about it. So congratulations, guys. Really good job. Thank you. Other than that, that's all I have. Mr. Barr.
Good evening. Thank you. Since our last council meeting, none of my committees have met. There was a planning commission meeting scheduled for October 18th. That has been canceled and tentatively rescheduled for November 1st here in council chambers. They want to talk about a conditional use permit. There's a required 30-day public notice period. So we're going to try and sneak that in. I don't know that Lynn has permanently set that meeting date up, but it looks like we're going to have a quorum just based on availability of planning commission members. I'll echo Mr. Scaffidi's sentiments that I was unable to attend the public safety open house. That's always a fun time, and I will definitely make sure I don't miss it next year, because I do enjoy that. You guys do a yeoman's job over there. It's certainly appreciated, at least in the bar household. So thank you both for that and your teams. And that's all I have this evening.
Great, thank you. Mr. Fury.
Thank you and good evening. I attended a Cert Training on Saturday, October 9th for 4 hours, run by Chief Basso and Lieutenant Dunn. Cert is a citizen emergency training that we assist police and fire if there's traffic issues, if there's power issues, if you're looking for people who are lost in the woods or seniors who are missing. If you have any interest in becoming a Cert member, please contact Chief Basso at the fire, or Assistant Chief Basso, excuse me, sir, at the fire department. I want to thank Mrs. Walker for handling the Environmental Commission meeting for me this week. The Twinsburg Boy Scouts have a program that they're going to do their annual leaf raking event in November. So if you're a senior citizen or a veteran that needs help with getting your leaves raked in your yard, please contact the parish office of St. Cosmos and Damien, and the phone number is 330-425-8141. Again, senior citizens and veterans, if you need help with the leaves, call St. Cosmos and Damien and get on the list for the Boy Scouts. This is typically the time where I ask Mark to turn off the lights and start the presentation. But I'd like to report that over the last 2 weeks, we have not had any negative or incorrect financial information posted on social media as of yet. So we don't know if there's anything today, but so we appreciate that. And those that are curious about financial information, please contact the finance department. We have all that information on the website. And the indicator report that Sarah went over tonight, you know, when there were 2 reds and 2 yellows on those reports, there were some concerns long term. And that's the best indicator report that I've seen since I've been with the city of Twinsburg. So things are going in the right direction. And lastly, Babe Maestros has filed a motion to dismiss regarding the questions of the identities of the youth of Twinsburg that worked for the city with Mr. Senstock, and no decision has been made up to this point. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Fury. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I was also at the Jedi meeting, and I do want to thank the Minority Student Union for coming out and introducing themselves. I think that, you know, when we first started Jedi, part of that process was to look at issues at the school district and having a way that could connect us to the school district and the students, and any issues or concerns that the students may have. You know, I think when we did the march, we heard firsthand from some of the students some of the things they went through. So I'm very encouraged that we now have the student union that are aware of the Jedi, what our purpose is, and hopefully there's a way to collaborate with them to kind of overlap you know, the certain areas that we want to focus on when we look at the schools and the community and the residents and the business district. So I just want to thank them for coming out. Ms. Walker mentioned Jessica Sumarak, who is our intern, and we're very fortunate to have her. She was finishing up her master's, and she approached the city and is very focused and concentrated in a lot of the goals and ambitions of our Jedi group, and she's just been a wonderful asset to the group. I know has been able to do a lot of research and investigating on things that a lot of us, you know, are struggling to find the time to do. So we're very fortunate to have her around. Moving on, the open house was just a fantastic event. It was a beautiful night. It's the first time, I think, in 4 years that we did those together. And I like having them separate, but it was a fun evening to see both kind of garage doors open and people roaming in and out of both the police station and the fire station, and seeing a lot of the different exhibits kind of set up by police, as well as some of the newer ones by the fire department. I love the actual hose shooting down the flames in the house, and I think our explorers helped set that up. I got a video of that, and I think it was fantastic. But I just want to thank everyone who made an effort to make that the event that it was. Third, we have this is an event that was kind of put together this last week. You know, pickleball in our community is has grown. If you've been around our courts, they're full every night, every morning, at weekends. And so I was approached by someone I know in Columbus who's very much involved to do a challenge between Columbus and Cleveland. So our courts will be hosting 8 of the top players from Cleveland and 8 of the top players from Columbus in a showcase type event on the 23rd, starting around 1 p.m. So if you have any interest in pickleball and want to see some of these top players perform, this will be on the 23rd, probably from like 1 to 3, 1 to 4. And the plan is to kind of bounce this around between some of the major cities. So we've come up with a logo and a name for the event, but should be fun. And I know a lot of the players, and especially down in Columbus, are excited about coming up here and showing what they have with some of our top Cleveland players. And then lastly, we have our Fall Festival. So our Fall Festival is on October 30th from 1 to 4. Should be a great event. It kind of combines a couple of different things we've done in the past. It's got our truck or treat, as well as some of our Oktoberfest stuff that we've done in the past. So I encourage all the residents to come out for that. Should be a really fun time, and I want to thank Jen for really getting that organized. And that is all I have. Besides, I know Daisy mentioned the services for my mom, so I just want to thank everyone, council, my family here at City Hall that supported during that time. It was a rough few weeks, and it was a very nice service. I thank everyone for attending, and she's in a better place. But all of your prayers and thoughts have helped do that for my family. Thank you. Now we'll move on to department head reports. Michael, you want to start? Your name's first on my list.
Good evening, everyone. In regards to the Department of Human Resources, the following information. So our statistical data shows us at 170 full-time employees, 69 part-time, 76 seasonal, which lends us to about 315 total employees at this time. And we'll see our seasonal start to drop off as we continue through this month and next month. 214 males, 101 females, and we have more females working part-time than full-time. And then we have our diversity level is about 5.71%, 18 out of 315 employees. Now, I don't want you to be shocked by that. I think that we do have some work to do, but we are doing that work in regards to really recruiting and going outside of our normal means of recruiting for certain positions. So in the past, we would post on our own job board. It would automatically connect to Indeed. And now what I'm doing is posting to a lot of the different minority groups, minority social media sites, minority associations to get the word out that Twinsburg is a great place to work, and also all of our perks, which I'll talk a little bit about a little later. I'm going to steal Chief's thunder just a little bit, Chief Mason's thunder. In regards to employment and recruitment, we finished our police officer and firefighter entrance exams. We had 66 police officer applicants and 44 firefighter applicants that passed the written exam provided through National Testing Network. Both eligibility lists were established. Fire scores were then given to Chief Morgan. On this past Saturday, we started the physical agility exam for police. We had 15 people attend. We did have one person who failed, but we are going to give another exam on October 24th, and we do have a significant amount of applicants signed up for that physical agility. And again, recruitment for these positions were also advertised in several places, including outreach to minority groups, associations, media sources, and newspapers. Yesterday also we proctored the police officer sergeant promotional exam. 15 officers sat for that exam. That test was also provided by NTN. It was proctored by myself and the Civil Service Commission, and we should actually have those scores in the next day or so. And again, we've just ramped up our recruitment for positions. We're looking to broaden our recruitment reach by posting our positions throughout a multitude of different sources and sites. So I think we're moving in a good direction in regards to that. In regards to benefits, creating a benefits page for our current employees and new hires. This is very essential and kind of needed right now. As we know, currently what we do is we have new hires come in, they meet with me the day that they start employment, and then we kind of get that documents rolling, we get over to finance. And so just to make things a little more efficient and effective, we're going to create a benefits page. This page will have a link on the My Twinsburg HR page. Will consist of all of our benefit plan information, FAQs, our plan summaries, other pertinent information for our employees that they want and need to know. And it'll also have a link for our new hires that they will have access to go right on and complete their enrollment documents, read through our healthcare options, make the best decision they can regarding healthcare for their families before they even walk in the door as an employee, which I think is really important at this time. Good news in regards to our workers' compensation. In the past 5 years, we have allowed a kind of a wide range of claims. Going back to 2017, where we had 15, 2018, we had 22, 2019, we had 23, last year we had 15, and I'm proud to say right now, we are hovering at 7. What does that mean? So in 2021, we have been billed for about $14,729 for medical worker comp claims. But based on rebates and retro savings, we're only responsible for $3,245.19, which is a cost savings of about 77.97%. And in order to continue on this downward decline, we will need to see a little more cost savings, a little more retro. In order to do that, we're going to put together what's called a Workers' Comp Safety Committee. So it'll be comprised of myself, some of our department heads and their seconds. That we will sit at the table and we'll talk through our claims as they are coming in. And that way we can really walk through what training we need to have for our employees and what information and skill knowledge we need to give to our employees to help us with our safety in regards to our workers' comp. So that's really great news moving forward. You've already heard a lot about the Jedi committee, so I won't hover there, but just to say that I was really proud to see the scope of work actually come out of the employment group, subcommittee group, and then presented to the full committee on yesterday. I think we have a great scope of work for this committee. I am happy that we have 4, possibly even 5 now consultants that will get that information, and we're simply waiting on their responses. The subcommittee, the employment subcommittee group has taken the stance that this is not our consultant, and so we will present that information to the full committee so that the full committee can make a decision on who the consultant will be moving forward. So I'm really happy in regards to that work as well. I want to thank all the members of the employment subcommittee for their work on that. Finally, I'm coming up on a year being the director of HR here at the city of Twinsburg. It has been challenging, it's been overwhelming at times, but the work that we do, the work that you do as council, the work that we're doing as employees here for our residents has been one of the greatest things that I'm very proud of. When I sat with the candidates and with our police officers on Saturday to watch them encourage applicants get through sit-ups, to get through push-ups, to make a run, to actually have one of our police officers, one of our detectives run almost a big piece of the last run with one of the applicants just to make sure she made it across the finish line was what made me proud. It made me stick my chest out as the director of HR here. And we will be working on updating our employee handbook, so that kind of leads into that. We have not had that updated in some time, and so I have done the updates, and we'll be meeting with the mayor to kind of review those updates. But we'll be presenting to council some recommendations in regards to Chapter 147, which I think needs to be passed first, and then align our employee handbook to 147. So that is up and coming before we end this year. Finally, fourth quarter employee appreciation will be November 17th. I want to thank the committee who's working on that. It will be our biggest one because that will be also our service awards presentation. So I invite you to come out. I will send email information out to council and to join us for that day, for that luncheon, and we'll finalize those plans very soon. I say finally, pastors say I'm on my last point a lot of times, so just forgive me. But this is my last point.
Okay, number 3.
The month of October is among many things, and one of those things is National Emotional Wellness Month. And don't know how many of you may know that, but I just want to remind council, the administration, and our employees and residents that as we move into the holidays, we must take into account that these last 2 years have been very hard. Family members have passed, stress has mounted. We've tried to live in a world that has now given us a new normal, and I encourage everyone to review your financial plans, to reduce your screen time in front of computers and television. Just simply take a walk while we still have nice weather outside. Grab a book, schedule a massage, or just sit back and meditate. And remember the relationships that you have in your lives, whether it's friends or family. Take the time to tell them that you love them and you care about them and their well-being, and reduce some of the stress during this month of October. Thank you, and I'm more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have tonight.
I have a question regarding workers' comp.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you keep records of whether there were accidents inside of the building and outside of the building?
Yes, our employees have to fill out a full incident report that details what happened, where they were before the incident happened, what they were doing during the incident. They have to have witnesses that, if there are witnesses, that sign and also give information to that report, as well as their supervisor. So we do have pertinent information in regards to what the incident was, and all of the details surrounding it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
That was great, thank you.
All right. Chris, you can come up now. Still looking in the same direction.
Good evening, council. General rule is 30 seconds. I don't know that. So I'll cut mine short to try to get us back on track. The Public Works Department is actually winding down on the summer work that we've been doing. Our seasonal employees are gone for the year, so grass cutting and those kinds of things, cleanup of the parks are been taken over by the full-timers. They're very happy about that. So doing a good job there. Some of the other programs that we have completed, crack sealing program, 62,000 lineal feet. So we did a little catch-up this year, and we're on good track with the crack sealing program. Street sweeping, it took us most of the year to complete one round. So with last year, not being as productive, we've caught up on that. The hydrant painting, we use the plug hug system to clean those hydrants and paint them. And my general superintendent reported that we hugged, primed, and painted 104 hydrants. So I'm happy they're hugging those hydrants when they're out there. So doing a good job there. Some of the other things that are starting up now, LEAF program. So we kind of made a commitment to enhance the program this year. And so along those lines, we've already started picking up leaves. Generally, we go out closer to the 15th of October. So this year, we went out as soon as we saw leaves falling, and that was right around the first of the month. So there's surprisingly quite a few leaves out there. So getting a good jump on it. We're going to be a little bit aggressive with a little bit of overtime, and we're hoping to enhance that program from the standpoint of getting the leaves up quickly. So we're gonna hit that hard.
Chris, how many leaf machines do you have? I forgot.
We've got three. Well,
so you're running
we generally
three?
have three. We've got four right now because we held on to one a couple years ago when we purchased a new unit.
So are you running four then? Do you have the staff to
at
run
times
four?
We can run four.
Okay.
So we're gonna be a little aggressive with that. I wanted to let you know also on branch chipping. We generally, the program years ago ran through October. We made a change some years ago, 5-6 years ago, we went through November. Right now, there's a little bit of information floating out there that we're done in October. I'd rather stay with what we've been doing lately. Once you get the residents used to a program, you try to stay with it. So we're going to do November again this year. We'll put some signs out and put some social media posts and what have you. It's worked, and I hate to change what we've done. And it's been 5 or 6 years since we've done
It was
this.
posted in the newsletter that was sent out.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna keep with that. So any of that information. So other than that, we will, unfortunately, the next season we'll be getting ready for is snow and ice, but we'll deal with fall first and deal with the next season as it comes up. And that's my report.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Chief? I was looking right at you, Tom. You're chief also now, so you just jumped up quicker. You'll learn that.
I'll show the rookie how to do it right. Good evening, council. For the month of September, the fire department had 288 calls for service. So for the year, that brings us up to 2,450, which is about 15% ahead of last year's pace. We also saw 37% of our calls overlapping with other calls. So we're still, although the total runs tailed off a little bit, we're still relatively busy. Fire prevention completed 27 annual fire and safety inspections, 23 re-inspections, and they also inspected one suppression system. We also worked on 4 fire investigations. 130 training sessions were held, completing 726 hours of training. And we also had a couple public education events that contacted 30 individuals. As has been mentioned, open house was last week, and we do want to thank all of our council and mayor and everyone who showed up, and also our residents. It's just very nice to see a lot of familiar faces. Kids we saw 20 years ago coming back with their kids, and it's just kind of nice to see the generations continuing. and it's just gratifying to see the support. So we want to thank all our residents for that. The weather warning system was tested on the 2nd, and everything worked as it should. And the fleet is doing well. Med 2 is back in service, and we think we've gotten it straightened out, and we hope to have some prolonged life out of it, although, as I mentioned, I think last month, we are going to see about rotating that out of the fleet at the earliest opportunity. Pump testing for all of our apparatus is supposed to happen tomorrow, and aerial and ladder testing is still being scheduled. So again, those are tests that we need to run on all the apparatus on an annual basis. COVID operations continue. We are doing good with PPE supplies. We're maintaining adequate supplies. Unfortunately, the prices have gone up, so we're paying more for those supplies, but still at this point within budget. And we did have one additional person test positive for COVID as a result of exposure at home, but otherwise we've didn't lose any more employee time other than that one. A couple of projects ongoing, or actually just completed hose testing. We also have to annually test all of our hose. We completed that. 7 pieces of hose failed, a couple 5-inch pieces, 5-inch in diameter, a couple 2.5-inch pieces, and some 1 3/4 pieces. So all in all, it was a successful run with not too much loss. And we're also in the midst of improving our alerting system at both stations, upgrading speakers and amplifiers and just some of the electronics that helps the notification process at both stations. Our staffing hasn't changed this month. It's remained stable, but we are starting to vet some of the candidates that we have now as a result of the eligibility list. Those are full-time candidates. No openings presently, but we want to be prepared for the next opportunity and continue to vet candidates for part-time positions as well. And that's my report.
Right. Thank you, Chief. Thanks.
Thank you. Chief.
Best for last.
Okay.
Well done.
You know Sarah's going last, right? And you were correct with your comment.
I was waiting to say that. For the police department, for the month of September, total calls for service at dispatch and for police and fire is 2,370. That brings us to 22,278 for the year. Amongst those stats, some of the numbers of note are we had 2 charges of assault on a police officer, 2 possession of drug counts, 8 gun-related offenses, 4 disorderly conducts, 1 domestic violence. Also of note, 10 operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs. We had 2 warrants served, 3 theft offenses. Total, we gave out 40 written warnings for the month. We had 110 total counts of arrests and citations. Arrested persons or cited persons was 76 amongst the 110 counts. As far as traffic crashes go, we had a total of 42 accidents that were investigated. 28 were non-injury, 0 were fatal, 5 were on private property, and 9 were injury crashes. Michael Brown said it right. He stole a lot of my thunder. So he pretty much gave you an update as far as where we're at with the testing process, the physical agility, the things we're doing. I just want to add that, a lot of people have asked me the last couple weeks how my first few weeks have been. And the main word is chaotic, but really it's not bad. I can't imagine doing it without the support I've received from all of you and the department heads. It's been amazing. Just to add to what Mike said with the testing, it's been a true collaboration between the police, HR, and civil service. It's really gone smoothly. It's really gone well. The prime example was the physical agility, as he stated the other day. Other department heads were involved. Chief Morgan came out. He volunteered to proctor. So it was just great. That's made all the difference in the world. I can't imagine doing it without the support of everybody, particularly HR. And the other thing I want to add was open house. Everybody's talked about how well open house went. I'm a big fan of open house, ran it for years, something I plan to keep doing. But I think Chris Campbell and his crew need to be mentioned. They did a lot of upgrades, some quick patch jobs to the parking lot. They put out hand sanitizer stations, a ton of garbage and recycle bins. They set up a lot of tables, chairs, cones, and then they broke it all down the next morning like nothing ever happened. So just want to acknowledge those guys. Unless you guys have any questions, that's all I have.
Bill does.
Yes, sir.
The last chief transitioned into new officers being not through the academy, but we would hire somebody through the civil service and then send them to training for a period of time, as opposed to hiring officers from other departments. And I was just wondering, what is your philosophy, or what are you looking at this time?
Honestly, I'm looking at everything.
Okay.
And to if anybody knows anything about what's going on with hiring police officers, when I took the test in 1994, Twinsburg capped it at 200. I beelined it down here to get my app in, because a lot of times the difference between me and somebody else getting the job was who turned it in first. Most places were capping it at 200 to 250. I took it at Cosmos Damien, packed. Those days are gone. They're gone. Our last list was 23 people. Solon recently had a list with 11 when they were done. So it's really, you don't take what you get. You never lower our standards. We will never ever do that. We maintain our standards, but the numbers, you're just not getting the numbers. I do have a little more optimism. This last test we went with the National Testing Network, we ended up with a final list of 66, which is great. But again, we're doing everything we can to facilitate the rest of the testing procedure for those candidates. We had 18 sign up for the agility test on this Saturday. Only 15 showed. We've had 4 withdraw their name because they've already gotten jobs. What we found was a lot of these candidates are in the academy right now, and they can't get off on a Saturday. We said, okay, we're going to run a test on a Sunday. So Sunday the 24th, we're doing another test. We got a lot of response from candidates who now can attend. Right now, I think we're around 20. I hope we get a little more. It's about 2/3 of our list if those numbers stay the way they are. Once you factor in some of the personal history questionnaires and some of the disqualifiers, I'm hoping that we're 25 to 30 on that list. Back to your question, I want the best candidate for the job. Now, there might be a good candidate out there who is in the academy or hasn't had the opportunity to go to the academy yet. If that person's the right fit for the department, I have no problem putting them through the academy. The downside is obviously it takes a little time. You hope there's an academy class starting right then that you can get them into. You have the 3 months that they're in the academy, to wait to take their test, and then their training starts within house. I'm optimistic that we're going to get some candidates that are in the academy based on what I've seen on this last test. Quite a few are in the academy right now. So to answer your question, I'd love to get somebody that's already OPATA certified or somebody who's in the academy, but I have no issue with bringing on the right person for our city, even if it means putting them through the academy.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Good answer.
It's good. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And his life has been chaotic. So he came in a situation where our prior chief at a point had 3 administrative staff underneath him, an assistant chief, 2 lieutenants. There's no one between him and the sergeant. So it's fortunate that NOGA had the foresight to say, okay, this is a time issue for me to retire, allow Chief Mason to come in and kind of build his administrative staff underneath him. But it is pretty chaotic right now. No one mentioned, I'm surprised that we just did a sergeant's exam. So we'll be doing sergeants and lieutenants exams. We had 15 patrol officers take the sergeant's exam. So this is, while there's things going on in the department that, with staffing and other issues, but it's an exciting time for the department from a morale standpoint, where we have this potential of a lot of upward mobility from our patrol and then also from our sergeants to lieutenants. So he was, chaotic is a good word that you described. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share that because there's a lot going on in the department right now. And then finally, the best for last, we have Miss Butchergross that would share her financial report.
Good evening again. I actually don't have a separate report other than my presentation from earlier, but I do want to say on the IT side of things, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and congratulations to Jason over in the building department. He won our little prize pack that we put together, so thanks to all the departments that donated. His kids are playing with the little squishy police car and firefighter guy, so he really enjoyed that, and we thank him for completing his training on time.
And that's all we have.
That's it. Okay. We will move on to legislation. We've got ordinance 65, 2021.
An ordinance amending Chapter 111 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg regarding council.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 65, 2021. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? As we know that this is the council one. We've had 3 readings on it, so no discussion. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 65, 2021 passes 6-0. Next, we have resolution 77, 2021.
A resolution allowing the mayor to apply for federal surface transportation block grant funds programmed by the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study to improve Highland Road.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution 77, 2021. Is there a second? Mrs. Walker seconds. We discussed this earlier in the caucus meeting. Does anybody have any further discussion or questions? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 77, 2021 passes 6-0. We have resolution 78, 2021.
A resolution allowing the mayor to apply for federal surface transportation block grant funds programmed by the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study to improve Glenwood Drive.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 78, 2021. Is there a second? Mrs. Labby seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 78, 2021 passes 6-0. Next, we have ordinance 79, 2021.
An ordinance establishing a policy regarding standard operating procedures for the implementation of the Title VI non-discrimination policy.
Okay, and that ordinance stands on its first reading. Next, we have resolution 80, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the advancement of local taxes from Summit County Fiscal Officer for the tax year 2021 payable in 2022 in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, section 321.34.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 80, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 80, 2021 passes 6-0. Resolution 81, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Redshift Technologies to provide security control systems.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 81, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 81, 2021 passes 6-0. Ordinance 82, 2021.
An ordinance accepting the bid of Building Technicians Corporation for the vehicle storage building roof replacement and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 82, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion on the emergency?
The reason for the emergency is we want to get the roof fixed before the weather goes bad.
Correct. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 82, 2021 as an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. That's it, 83. No, where's 80? Oh, no, 83. Oh, 83, there's 83. Resolution 83, 2021.
A resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with PFG in 8749 Chamberlain Road, LLC, as previously approved in Resolution 32, 2021, under the Community Reinvestment Area Program, created pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 3735.66, for real property tax abatement.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 83, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll, please, Shannon.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 83, 2021 passes 6-0. Move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous business. We'll start with Mr. Bellin.
I have nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing to add to what Mr. Bellin said. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fury.
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay, I do have those two motions that we discussed earlier for the liquor permits. The first one is the City Council does not oppose the liquor permit for Hong Hai Properties Incorporated, located at 8941 Wilcox Drive, and authorize the clerk to submit the form to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? That is for the Old Damon's, which is going to be, I guess, a burgers to beer. So that's for a liquor license there. Nothing further? Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
By the way, that was for a new D2 and D3 permit. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. Next motion is that City Council requests a hearing with the Ohio Division of Liquor Control in our county seat in regards to the new liquor permit request from Kahara and Sons Incorporated, DBA Super 8 Twinsburg, located at 8848 Twin Hills Parkway, and authorize the clerk to submit the form to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any further discussion?
I just want to clarify, Mr. Maestros, the yes vote is saying that we are requesting
A hearing.
a hearing or an audience with the state. Is that correct?
To challenge it, yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the motion, that motion passes 6-0. So we did 1, 2, 3. Next, we'll move on to Mr. Barr.
Nothing additional for me this evening. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Labby.
Nothing additional from me.
Mayor.
Nothing for me.
Mr. Maestros.
Nothing, thank you.
Shannon Collins.
I actually do.
Oh, great.
All right.
Okay.
So we have a couple things going on with Rotary right now. First is our we're doing our Flags for Hunger right now. So you'll see the flags up on McTarian Parkway starting this weekend. If you'd like to sponsor our flag, it's $10, and all $10 goes over to our Community Hunger Center here in Twinsburg. So you can purchase those online, or if you just search the Rotary Club Square account, you should be able to find the link there. We also are doing our first ever Rotary meet and greet, kind of an open house style, over at Brewster's next Wednesday, October 20th, starting at 5:30 to 8:30. We're providing appetizers, and just if you want to learn a little bit more about what we do as a Rotary Club, and come on out and we'll tell you what we do. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Mrs. Bucci-Cross, anything else?
Nothing from me.
You're good. Okay. At this time, I'd like to excuse Maureen Stauffer from tonight's meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Labby, second.
Second.
Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss matters pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G14 under personnel and negotiations. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Discussion. Shannon?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, we will now go into an executive session, and when we're done, we'll come back out and close this meeting. Thank you.